At the start of the movie, the vice president talks about the dangers of giving dangerous weapons to dangerous little children. Steven Seagal, who goes by Oren Boyd in this movie, as always shows respect for everybody around him. He also uses spider sense, trying to spot gayism on cops for reasons that don't concern us. And finally, at the end of the speech, he arrives at his place in audience.
Serious issue that's spiraling out of control in this country. Illegal handguns ending up in the hands of our children.
Right after missing the whole speech, Oren wanders around scanning for other hot cops, when suddenly he notices a combo, two hotties who love good cookies just like him. He decides that a chance like this is a one-time opportunity and quickly gets to his car to catch them up. But unfortunately, it turns out that the things he confused with cookies are actually bombs, and cops are not much of good guys, as they secretly planted those bombs on cars in the vice president's motorcade for spectacular explosions. And this leaves us with some questions such as why did they have to pass bombs right in front of Oren, and how can seasons change from summer to winter in mere seconds? So, evil chaotic cops start to mess with lawful good ones. A smiley chopper arrives to provide them with the support from the above. At the same time, good cops have to drive lowriders with faulty hydraulic system.
Can't tell who's who. No PD, Secret Service only.
Meanwhile, Oren's attention gets caught by a track nearby. He forgets about hot cops and just wants to drive an ice cream truck in a cool cab, just like he always wanted since he was a child. But due to his total incompetence, he immediately crashes into the police patrol and tries to run away. But the van breaks down right in front of the car where the vice president is hiding from the bullets, and Oren comes up with a brilliant idea. He pretends that he is not running away from the accident. No, he is here to protect the politician. Then Oren turns on cheats and starts firing his pistol in automatic bursts that are also capable of exploding an aircraft. In a frenzy of combat, he drags the vice president by the collar over a concrete fence and then throws him off a bridge without any apparent reason for that. Luckily, passing by rescuers save him from the inevitable fate of drowning. So now Oren Boyd has to explain to police chief why he is so dumb and why he almost killed the vice president. At first he comes up with the most ridiculous excuse.
I saved his life, Frank.
But as even he himself realizes how stupid it sounds, he comes up with something more plausible.
I didn't vote for him anyway.
But despite his strong argument, Frank still fires him. And now Boyd goes to complain to the higher-ups. And even though the chief Hedges dreams of firing the incompetent chump, he still doesn't do it and gives Oren a last chance in another police station.
Oh, that shithole. You'll fit right in.
When Seagal arrives there, as always parking his car like an asshole, he finds out that the shithole is barely managed by Annette Malkahi... Annette, a female commander with a supposedly nice butt. As for her, she doesn't care much about Oren's breach-throwing habits.
A little water never really hurt anybody.
But still she insists that he attend an anger management therapy group run by Linda, a highly skilled specialist who creates a friendly environment of mutual understanding.
Sit down!
While sitting in the back and trying to hide his eyes, Oren decides to loosen up his corset, give his stomach some space since no one can see him, but it leads to instant regret when he is forced to stand up. Boyd can't handle the embarrassment and runs away from the group in tears, throwing some punks onto nearby cars as he goes. But before he can leave, the whole therapy group catches up with him to tell him how cool he is.
Boyd is such a badass, man! He knows karate and judo, he can easily win one of those tough men competitions!
We move on to meet the new character, Lateral, who visits his friend in the jail and sing him songs about how everybody is waiting for him to be free. And then, together with another Fraid, TK drives a Hummer to a luxury car dealership to exchange a silver Ferrari for a bag full of cash. Later, Oren uses his spider sense to patrol the streets. He notices a terrible crime. This punk in a yellow Hummer is littering the road with cigarette butts in slow-mo. And you might think that this is the moment for Steven to get really pissed off and beat up the pig. But no, he notices TK's large binoculars hidden in the bushes so well that they catch his eyes as soon as he glanced in the side mirror. For some reason, Oren believes that a police badge allows him to take binoculars from innocent citizens and give them orders.
I think maybe you should go home and call her tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd say this clumsy clown now owes him a couple of grand, but Steven is convinced that cops can do whatever they want to whoever they want.
I'm a cop. It's alright.
Orin changes TK to the radiator grill and follows his spider sense to a nearby building where Lateral is having a peaceful chat with his friend. There, Boyd, without any second thought, starts shooting at a wheel stand, throwing pipes, and gets punched in the face. Steven Seagal getting kicked in the face is about as rare as Halley's Comet passing by Earth. As a result, Lateral jumps out of the window to escape from the crazy cop. While his friend grabs an angle grinder to create a stunt double for Steven Seagal. Orin handcuffs the guy and takes him back to his trusty radiator grill. Only then does the guy reveal that he is actually working undercover. And for blowing his operation, the brainless chump is immediately sent to regulate the traffic. But even with this simple task, Boyd can't seem to handle it properly. He starts waving hands, cars start colliding, leading to chaos and streets. Orin goes back to the men's locker room after he's failing on the street to stand by a locker and watch other guys testing out trendy sex toys and rehearsing some scenes from Gachimuchi. After watching the real men fighting with their biceps, he gets upset nobody is fighting with their stomachs. This guy tries to cheer him up, but it doesn't work. Our Winnie the Pooh still runs off to cry in his car, but another guy catches up to him and starts a heavy trolling.
I mean, you know, you're like a legend, man.
Liars are mostly found to give a quick touch to their nose while speaking a lie.
I mean, you know, you're like a legend, man.
Yeah, very funny.
The next day, Orin decides that all his problems stem from Matt Montini, the undercover cop he almost shot trusting his spider sense. Now Orin wants to dig up some dirt on the guy, but since he doesn't know how to do it himself, he has to ask for help from a security guard at the police garage.
What does this look like? The Hall of Records? Check records downtown at Piper Tech.
And after getting the expected refusal, Orin gets upset again and heads to an empty business center, where for some reason janitors are tied up on the floor, and there are some scary creatures with guns roaming the offices. It turns out that those are robbers who came up for drugs being kept as evidence in the building with hardly any security except for a few labyrinth workers.
Now can you zoom in right there?
The guys zoom in the tape and now all of them can easily recognize not only the brand of guys' watches,
Rolex?
It's a tag.
Height, say about 5'10".
but also his hate. Matt Martini arrives and is surprised to find a fired traffic controller messing with cops and security cam records. That's Steven Seagal, bro, get used to it. He can go wherever he wants in his movies. It appears he is not the only one allowed everywhere. Police Department Chief Annette also uses her official position to barge into men's locker room whenever she feels like it. She notices a guy, George, not able to figure out how to use a vending machine. So she immediately comes up with the funny idea to pair him up with Orin as a dumb and dumb-a-dum-dum.
You make a nice couple.
Together they have hard day at work eating sandwiches and staring at fancy cars. And when the night falls, they head to a club owned by TK to have some fun with the naked dancers. Favorite Seagal's time passing. And there TK notices Orin, his old acquaintance, who owes him a few grand of bucks for broken binoculars. So Orin tries to blend in with the crowd to disappear from him, but as his head sticks out of the crowd like a fire ladder, he has to bend down. But Steven can't stay in hunched position for a long period of time. The car set is getting in the way. Therefore, the best way of the situation becomes to once again assault the innocent guy and wreck the club.
Getting advice from the man who's kicking my ass just so he can kick my ass properly.
And after beating the club security guards, Orin and George break into TK's main office, where Boyd is rummaging through garbage in search of leftover food, but finds nothing except a ticket for a visit to the prison. So the next day, Lateral decides to pay a visit to Lateral's friend in prison and interrogate him in the hope of extracting any information about anything.
You know, is it meth? Is it coke? What is it?
And it turns out that the only reason why Orin is so fixated at Lateral is because
Guy's clean. Like a little too clean. No warrants, no accidents, no parking tickets. And that makes me nervous.
it makes him nervous. Steven, I understand, it seems incredible to you, but there are actual people who live lawful life. After a pointless interrogation, which gives him absolutely nothing, Boyd decides to satisfy his ego with a small lecture on how to live properly. And after that he heads to the gym to bother George with his idiotic questions about old cases.
Anything suspicious?
Oren uses his spider sense again and finds himself right in front of the car where Mantini and Lateral are peacefully talking about the deal. And after watching the chat in France, he, as usually, goes to a strip club. There he suddenly bumps into Henry Wayne from the anger management therapy group. Oren pretends that he came there not for dancing girls, but to ask Henry to dig up some information on Lateral, because at this point he has completely gone crazy about this guy. To his relief, Henry can actually help with the information.
Alright, ladies, come to Papa. You wanna know more?
It's even better, he wants to help Boyd, and I have no idea why. Maybe he is from Greenpeace and confused Oren with a fat penguin? After the strip club, Boyd once again uses his spider sense. I don't know how, but he always knows where everyone is and shows up at the most inconvenient moments. And I don't understand whether what happens next isn't Steven Seagal's imagination or reality, because he chases away the commander's boyfriend, eats his food, and acts like a jealous fool.
What's wrong with this guy? He doesn't look right for you.
And instead of shooing away the overbearing Bubble, Annette agrees to listen to his mumbling.
What are you up to?
He's up to nothing, except for stalking people he randomly encounters. And as Oren can't make any sense, he tries hard to give his empty words some weight by creating more mystery.
Out of all the people around you, how'd you know who you could trust?
Why? What have you got?
Why? What have you got?
And finally, to get rid of the idiot, Annette sends him off to search for any evidence of wrongdoing by anyone.
Oren, watch your back.
Meanwhile, Matt and Latrell arrive to a textile factory, which is managed by Louis Strott, the same guy who likes to fight with his biceps and comfort crying losers. And it turns out that in addition to producing t-shirts, they are also involved in distributing some heavy substances. Henry, having lost the last shred of his self-respect, comes to Oren to share significant information that he was able to dig up, unlike Boyd, by the way. And in gratitude, Steven looks at him like at one of his own movies. Yeah, it turns out that Lateral has fake documents and the guy in prison shown, and he has a multi-million-dollar fortune that he can only access 5 years old. And Lateral is not just a drug dealer, but a computer genius. Although despite of his genius, he casually reveals the address of his secret base at the car dealer center when buying another one of his cars. So now Oren is heading straight to that address, but in the way he crashes head onto in a tractor scoop and immediately is dragged into some van. And it turns out that Mantini and his friends kidnapping him and now intend to kill him by injecting some nasty substance, but instead the needle ended up in the driver's neck, and although the liquid remains in the syringe, the driver has a seizure and jerks uncontrollably at the wheel, pressing the gas pedal to the floor. And this causes the van to crash into parked cars filled with explosives. As a result, utter chaos breaks into the van, forcing Oren to display incredible acrobatic skills in conditions of extreme turbulence. Like Houdini, he frees himself from the handcuffs and arrives at the address of the secret Lateral's base as if nothing had happened. So after a brief scuffle, Lateral decides that enough is enough for today and opens the door to his base. It turns out that it is a complete movie production studio, and the entire organization is engaged in not just illegal drug distribution, but also in the illegal covert recording of a documentary film.
See, a lot of people, they talk about police corruption, but no one ever sees it.
Oren and Lateral humiliate TK and then take away the keys to his Hummer. So now Boyd can flex with someone else's car in front of Annette.
Nice inconspicuous car you got there, Boyd.
Thank you.
All of a sudden, a group of corrupt cops spawns in the parking lot and begins firing their rifles at Annette's vehicle. Fortunately, her car turns out to be armored, and Oren knows a secret method of evading bullets by raising his shoulders like this. During the chase, the bad guys can't seem to hit the car right in front of them. Eventually, Annette crashes into a parked fire truck. Oren hijacks a parked nearby motorcycle. In just a couple of hours, Lateral will be meeting with the corrupt cops to film the biggest drug deal ever. So Oren now has a very little time to assemble a team of elite fighters, his dumb-witted partner George, and a 60-year-old police captain Frank. During the drug deal they barge in, and suddenly Frank reveals himself as a mastermind behind the corrupt scheme and the whole operation.
And now you have single-handedly screwed up my whole operation.
It's our operation. I run this show. Not you, not him, none of you!
And just when it seems that all is lost, the police chief Hedges himself spawns in the scene. I wonder if they brought the vice president along for the fight as well. During the prolonged shootout, the police chief shoots at gas canisters scattered around and subsequently fires Frank from his job.
You're fired!
Lateral invents a self-firing shotgun. Orin uses his weight to hold a helicopter, which is quite self-ironic for Seagal. In the end, the bad guys die, good guys celebrate their victory, Henry and TK sit on a TV show, showcasing their comedic improvisation skills. How did Chief Hedges find out about the deal taking place, and why did he come himself instead of sending the SWAT team? What was the point of hinting at romance between Orin and Annette, who already had a boyfriend and died for no reason? And why did Lateral's brother need to be in the movie? We may never know the answers for these questions, however, this is not the worst movie with Steven Seagal. And I enjoyed Henry despite not understanding his motivation or reasons why he bows to Orin, unless we consider that it's just because it is Steven Seagal, of course. As you have watched this video up to this point, I will really appreciate if you let me know about that. Also, there are more recaps of movies with Steven Seagal, and you can check them up in the playlist or watch the next video YouTube thinks will be more interesting for you. Till the next time, cheers.